The training facility on Station Karis hummed with the energy shields that separated each combat arena. Sergeant Talia Vorn stood at the entrance to Arena 7, her boots silent against the polished obsidian floor. Around her, cadets from a dozen species prepared for the most grueling assessment in the Galactic Coalition's military training program. Instructor Varek Thul emerged from the observation deck. His forearms folded in what Talia had learned was the Xanthari equivalent of stern disapproval. His exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh lights, chitinous plates clicking as he moved, 6 black eyes fixed on the human sergeant with an intensity that had made lesser species withdraw their applications entirely. Sergeant Vorn, his translator, rendered his chittering speech into cold, clipped words. "You understand the parameters of this assessment?" "Yes, Instructor." Talia's voice remained level, professional. She'd learned months ago that humans unnerved most species simply by making eye contact, so she kept her gaze respectfully lowered. "No weapons allowed," Varek Thul continued, gesturing with 2 of his arms toward the arena where a Krogar berserker, 8 feet of muscle, scale and barely contained rage, waited. No projectiles, no blades, no energy weapons, no chemical agents, no explosive devices. He leaned closer, mandibles spreading in what might have been satisfaction. "We have scanned you 3 times. You carry nothing." Talia's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good thing my hands qualify." Varek Thul's translator emitted a sound like grinding gears. Confusion, perhaps, or the Xanthari equivalent of a scoff. "Your hands? Sergeant, the Krogar are bred for combat. Their hide can deflect plasma fire. Their bones are reinforced with metallic compounds. They have been the Coalition's shock troops for 6 centuries. He gestured at her with dismissive waves of his lower arms. "Humans are soft, fragile. We permitted your species into the Coalition out of diplomatic courtesy, not military prowess." "Understood, Instructor." Talia rolled her shoulders, a gesture that made Varek Thul's eyes track nervously. "Humans were unpredictable," the report said. "Emotional, irrational, they had no idea." The arena door irised open. Talia stepped through into the circular combat zone, 30 meters of open space surrounded by force fields that would prevent lethal damage to spectators, but do nothing to help the combatants within. The Krogar, designated as Combatant Threxus, bellowed a challenge that shook dust from the observation windows. In the viewing deck, representatives from 17 species watched. Most had wagered against the human. Humans were a curiosity, a species that had barely achieved faster-than-light travel before stumbling into Coalition space. They had survived their planet's harsh conditions through technology and cooperation, not physical superiority. Varek Thul activated his comm. "Begin assessment. Victory conditions, incapacitation or submission. Death is discouraged but acceptable under combat protocols." Threxus charged immediately, a mountain of muscle moving with shocking speed. His roar could paralyze smaller species through sheer sonic pressure. His claws could rend durasteel. Talia didn't move. The Krogar closed the distance in 3 massive strides, claws raised for a strike that would split her in half. At the last possible moment, Talia shifted her weight, her body flowing like water around the attack. Her hand, just her hand, soft and fragile and human, shot forward in a spearhand strike that caught Threxus directly in his throat. The Krogar's charge stopped as if he'd hit a wall. His eyes bulged. His mouth opened in a silent gasp. Talia didn't stop moving. Her other hand came up, palm-heel strike to the creature's solar plexus, if Krogars had solar plexuses. They did. Talia had studied their anatomy for 3 weeks straight. She knew exactly where every nerve cluster sat, where every tendon connected, where every vital organ rested beneath that supposedly impenetrable hide. Threxus staggered backward, making sounds like a deflating airlock. He swung wildly, but Talia was already inside his guard. Her elbow found the nerve junction under his left arm. Her knee drove into the weak point behind his knee joint. Her fingers, those soft, fragile human fingers, found pressure points that no Krogar had known existed, until the pain exploded through his nervous system. The entire engagement lasted 17 seconds. Threxus collapsed onto the arena floor, conscious but completely unable to move. His eyes rolled in confusion and agony. Talia stood over him, not even breathing hard, her hands, those dangerous, deadly hands, hanging loosely at her sides. In the observation deck, silence reigned. Then slowly, Varric Thul's mandibles began to click in what his species used for nervous laughter. "Explain," he demanded through the comm. Talia looked up at the observation windows, at the assembled representatives of species that could breathe methane, survive in vacuum, or bench press small vehicles. "Instructor, humans evolved on a death world. We didn't have natural armor, so we learned to bypass armor. We didn't have claws, so we learned to make weapons of every part of our body. We didn't have venom, so we learned exactly where to strike to shut down nervous systems." She flexed her fingers. "We spent 10,000 years learning to kill each other with our bare hands. We got very, very good at it." Varric Thul was quiet for a long moment. "Then the Krogar are our finest warriors." "Were," Talia corrected softly. "Instructor, you wanted to know what humans bring to the Coalition military? We bring adaptation. We bring knowledge. We bring the understanding that weapons aren't objects. They're mindsets." She gestured at Threxus, who was beginning to regain motor function and looked thoroughly traumatized. "Every species in the Coalition has natural advantages. Strength, armor, speed, whatever. But humans?" She smiled that dangerous smile again. "We learned that everything can be a weapon, including ourselves." The assessment records were sealed at the highest security levels. Sergeant Talia Vorn's performance was classified, studied, and ultimately became the foundation for a new Coalition training program, one that taught other species what humanity had known for millennia. The most dangerous weapon in the universe wasn't plasma or antimatter or gravitational manipulation. It was a creature intelligent enough to turn itself into a weapon and disciplined enough to know exactly how to use it. Varric Thul never again questioned human fragility, and he never ever forgot the lesson Sergeant Vorn had taught him that day. When a human says their hands qualify as weapons, they aren't boasting, they're issuing a warning.